Welcome to JobQuest, where today we help you rock the job by focusing in on how you act at work. Let's talk about professional etiquette. Yo everyone, it's Matt from Project Rebuild, and today we're going to be focused in on making sure you're behaving in a way that helps you further your job quest. Professional etiquette is something you're going to need, but it might not be something you're used to doing. So first of all, what is professional etiquette? Basically, professional etiquette is the code of conduct in a workplace. These rules can be written or unwritten and ideally create a work environment where everybody feels comfortable, valued, and respected. It all stems from considering the needs of others and being thoughtful and courteous to those around you. When employees feel better about their work environment, it leads to an increase in productivity, an increase in communication, and an increase in integrity, which all leads to a more profitable business. So, employers don't mess around when it comes to professional etiquette. Now keep in mind that every industry and workplace is going to have its own definition of what professional etiquette is, but there's some stuff that will apply across the board. Number one, be responsible. One of the key elements of professional etiquette is to take responsibility for yourself and your actions. Always do your job to the best of your abilities and be open to growing and learning from your mistakes. Don't make excuses, and when you present an issue, be ready to present a solution as well. You'll want to be ready for the workday, which often means checking your own personal baggage at the door. And while responsibility can mean many different things, you're always going to want to be in the right place, at the right time, in the right uniform, ready to get things done safely and effectively. Remember, your destiny is in your hands, so take care of your future by taking care of your responsibilities today. Number two, communication. There are so many ways to communicate nowadays, but some rules of etiquette apply to all of them. Whether it's online, in person, or over the phone, be upfront and honest with people when you have a conversation with them. And remember that conversations are a two-way street. You need to be an active listener and an active speaker, so it's important to be focused on the person you're communicating with. Don't just wait for your turn to talk, pay attention to the other person and try to process what they're saying. Keep your tone pleasant, speak in a clear voice, and try to avoid slang. Plus, you're always going to want to avoid things like negativity, drama, gossip, and complaining because those impact how others view you. And you have to remember, some conversations are just not appropriate for work. So try to avoid hot topics like politics, religion, sex, and finances. Those are a no-go when it comes to professional etiquette. When it comes to phone communication, all of those rules apply, but there's some other specific steps that you're going to want to take. The first of which is make sure you return phone calls as soon as possible. This shows that you respect the other person and their time. Make sure that your voicemail is set up, has an appropriate greeting, and isn't full. If you're the one who has to end up leaving a message, make sure it includes who you are, why you're calling, and how they can get a hold of you. And if you're going to put someone on speakerphone, make sure to ask for their permission beforehand. Plus, you're always going to want to be mindful of the other people in the office and don't let your conversations be heard by others. The way you communicate online is going to matter as well. Your online presence is a reflection of who you are, both personally and professionally, so keep that in mind with everything you post. The way I always look at it is I would never post something that I wouldn't want my boss or my grandma to see. You might want to think about setting your social media accounts to private as well, but even if you do that, you always have to be cautious about what you post. Along with social media, you've got to make sure that you're conducting yourself in a professional manner when it comes to emails. So starting at the top, it's really important that you have an appropriate and professional sounding email address. Your first name, middle initial, and your last name is usually a good formula to follow. Then, make sure you use the subject line to let the other person know what the email is all about. In the body of the email, include a greeting and get to the heart of what you're trying to say. Don't ramble, but make sure you're clear about why you're writing. Avoid internet slang and abbreviations and try to pay attention to both spelling and grammar. These things might seem small, but they're an indicator of both your intelligence and your attention to detail. Take the time to proofread what you wrote and make sure everything is coming across in an easy to understand fashion. Stick with standard fonts and never type in all caps. When it comes to replying to an email, you want to do it as quickly as possible, certainly within the first 24 hours. And don't press reply all unless you want everyone in that thread to read what you wrote. When it comes to attaching a file, make sure it's the right file, labeled clearly, and the appropriate size. As virtual meetings become more and more common, you're going to want to make sure that you're conducting yourself in a professional manner there as well. Have yourself set up in a clean, well-lit area that is free of distractions. Position yourself in the middle of the screen and speak clearly. If you're in a virtual meeting with more than one other person, you'll probably want to mute yourself when you aren't speaking, as should everyone else to cut down on background noise. Check your equipment and Wi-Fi beforehand to minimize any technical difficulties, and get yourself familiar with any software you might have to use before you try to go live with it. And number 3, show respect in the workplace. So much of etiquette boils down to respect, so keep that in the front of your mind as you go through your career. When you're dealing with people you work with, try to see things from their point of view, and remember, you can disagree with somebody and still respect them. And while you want the people you work with to like you, your job isn't a social setting. You're being paid to work, and so are your coworkers, so don't let personal issues and conversations get in the way of getting the job done. Also, be responsible when it comes to a shared work environment. Clean up your messes, put things back where you found them, and never take something that isn't yours. And whether we're talking about food, perfume or cologne, or maybe something more natural, be aware of any pungent odors. It's also really important that you show respect for the time of others. So make sure you show up on time, and remember, your coworker or boss isn't always in the same rush or headspace that you are. When you're in a group meeting, be an active member of that conversation, but give others the space to express their opinions or thoughts. And don't keep a group meeting or call going by asking questions that only pertain to you. When you're on the clock, try to get things done as quickly as possible without ever sacrificing quality or safety, and keep looking for what's next. Like we said earlier, professional etiquette means different things to different companies. So while we can't cover everything in this video, if you follow these steps, you are well on your way to establishing yourself as a professional and rocking that job. We'll cover professional etiquette deeper in the future, so if you want more of this content, hit the subscribe button and let's keep your job quest going.